Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia Nickerson, and you're watching LASOS, that's Los Angeles Strategies or Solutions. This is a program by the Westside Impact Project, which is part of Institute for Public Strategies, or IPS. And today we're talking about alcohol density. Might be kind of a confusing word or phrase if you're not into that type of information, but we're going to talk about exactly why everyone in LA and really anywhere actually should care about the alcohol density in their particular town, neighborhood, or community. So joining me now is Professor Oren Katz. He is Professor Katz, I'll let you explain your position on the Hollywood Hills Neighborhood Council, is it?
Yes, so I am the business chair on Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council. The city of Los Angeles a few years ago decided they're going to have neighborhood councils to get local input on local issues. Alcohol, fun enough, is of course a local
Absolutely. All right.
Part of our geographical area is the Hollywood entertainment core area. So I deal a lot with alcohol licenses, interestingly enough. And besides that, of course, I work in the university as a professor.
All right, so you're well versed in the ins and outs of how establishments obtain licenses to sell alcohol. So first of all, let's explain to our viewers alcohol density. What does that even mean?
So the whole idea of alcohol density is alcohol, interestingly enough, is actually licensed by the state, not a local municipality. And the state have deemed many years ago that they're going to say, okay, we don't want too much alcohol in one location. We don't want everybody to go just the one place. We don't want one Las Vegas in every city. So they said, well, let's take it by census tract. A census tract is basically a geographical area that have a few houses, a few apartment buildings. It's actually changed from place to place. And they said no more than 2 alcohol licenses per census tract. What is, by the way, an alcohol license? Any place, any establishment that sells alcohol. It can be a CVS, Target, 7-Eleven, and of course, restaurants and bars and pubs, of course. And we have found, working in Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council, that we have census tract that have more than 20 alcohol licenses per census tract, even though the law or the rules from the state of California dictates no more than 2. So
just to give our viewers a visual of a census tract, a typical census tract is about how many neighborhood blocks? Or can you classify
it? It actually depends on the density of how many people. The whole idea of census tract is because you answer very specific question on your census, such as income. And you don't want somebody to go into www.census.gov and actually click on your house and see exactly how much money you make. So what they do is the census, which is the federal government, they cobble together households. So it might be as big as 40 city blocks if it's a low-level houses, or it can be as much as 2 city blocks if it's high-rises. Okay. So the whole idea is to kind of like make it vague. So you can't really spy on your neighbors. Yeah. That's what the idea of a census tract.
But even so, the limit should be 2, and we're talking many neighborhoods in LA County, upwards of 20?
Depends where. So Santa Monica, more. Depends on the entertainment area they have over there. Downtown LA, more. Hollywood entertainment core area, more. And you actually start scratching your head and you say, hold on for a second. First of all, when you apply for ABC, alcohol license, and they look at the application and they said, oh, so another bar in Hollywood next to 5 other bars and the same block next to a CVS, Target, 7-Eleven, all sell alcohol. Why so many people are allowed to do that? And the more you look at it, it boils for one specific answer, which is money.
Yeah.
It's always money in life. Mm-hmm. And the way it works is the cities are strapped for money.
Yeah.
Alcohol, it gives them money because businesses have more revenues, especially bars, restaurants, if they sell alcohol. They really want that alcohol because sometimes, especially for restaurants, the margin can be quite thin and the alcohol is what bumps them into profit. Now, that's actually very interesting because CVS, Target, those kinds of establishments didn't used to sell alcohol. For them, They just started that as an extra, as they like to say it, convenience for the shoppers, not because it's give them more money. Of course, it gives them more money. And that's the biggest problem we have. The problem is, I'm not against alcohol. My neighborhood council is not against alcohol. God knows I have 2 kids. I have to drink sometimes,
I get it.
calm down. Yeah. The issue is all about local input. What do I mean? We know in specific locations in Hollywood, there's uptick of crime. Now, when you look and you work with the police, LAPD, you see a lot of the crimes arise from people getting too drunk, and of course now drugs are legal or too high, and they commit crime. And you say, okay, great, LAPD. So we know now these 3 blocks in Hollywood Boulevard actually have uptick of crime. What can we do to mitigate these kind of issues? Well, how about we're not going to sell alcohol in those 3 blocks for the next 6 months? Can't do that because it's coming from the state. Okay, let's back up. Now, when new businesses come and we know this area have crime, can us who live in that area with the help of the LAPD say, you know, guys, this is not a good idea to sell alcohol in this location because of this uptick in crime? Can't do that either because it's coming from the state. So all the ideas that the neighborhood councils have about the local input, the local knowledge, working with the LAPD and say, guys, this is not a good idea. Let's not have another alcohol license in this specific location. It doesn't work.
You get run over by big business.
We absolutely. There is one location on Hollywood Boulevard that next to CVS is going to be a Target. Now that a specific location, it's next to the Hollywood and Highland. Now Hollywood and Highland right now have a lot of uptick in crime. And if you think about it for a second, Los Angeles, we get a lot of money from tourism. It is in our most important thing to do, to say, we need to make sure our city is safe enough for tourists, and we definitely don't want the perception that Hollywood, again, as it used to be in the 80s and 90s, is dirty and dangerous. Why? Because tourists come with a taxpayer, whatever money they made after they paid the taxes, let's say in Iowa, and they spend it over here. Perfect, we love tourists. But if you look on all social media, everybody now, and TripAdvisory, everybody's saying Hollywood is a dump, Hollywood is dangerous. Don't take your kids to Hollywood after 7 p.m. Same with downtown LA.
And Venice Beach and Santa Monica, there are parts where people say don't come between X hours, so it's really kind of all over.
I won't take my children to Hollywood Boulevard past a certain time of day, or to Hollywood and Highland, which is a mall. Now, the people in the mall, the store owners, are hurting because the residents want to go. Tourists look at TripAdvisory and it says it's dangerous. Now, why is it dangerous? Many different reasons. One of the other reasons we look at, as of course, is crime, and do alcohol contribute to crime? Now, you don't need to be a PhD brain surgeon to know that 1 + 1 = 2. So we talk to the LAPD. The LAPD hands are tied. Why? Because we have politicians like Eric Garcetti, who looks at the future, their future. He wanted to be the president of the United States of America. It's really hard to pick up fight with businesses. It's a lot easier for him to say, okay, you know what? You want alcohol licenses, whatever. I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to go to the White House. We're not saying no to alcohol. We're saying let's manage it properly. When you look at blocks that have 20+ alcohol licenses, don't come to me. And by the way, all businesses, when they come and applying for the ZA, for the alcohol license, they always say there is a need for alcohol sale in that area. And I always look at them and I say, really?
Yeah, there's one here, one here, one here.
I mean, all I have to do is not even move my head, just move my eyes a little bit. Come on. We are hurting myself. How? How are we hurting ourselves? We give more alcohol license, we get less response by the LAPD because the LAPD is more busy on specific areas. Now, okay, let's hire more police. No money. No money, but we are basically shooting ourselves in the foot. How do we shoot ourselves in the foot? we are getting ourselves in trouble that we all know it's going to happen, and it's happening because of greed of everybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
when it comes to solutions, we say, well, we don't have the money to fix the solution, to fix the problems.
Right.
I'm saying, let's not get into that problems to begin with, but then again, we are overruled by the state of California.
Absolutely. So anyone hearing this, if this bothers them, and it really should bother anybody that lives in a neighborhood, which is everybody, what can they do? How can we put pressure on our electeds to listen to the community?
You know, it's very interesting because before there was the neighborhood councils, people in downtown, when I'm talking about the elected officials, basically did whatever they wanted. Now they actually have to come and to listen in the neighborhood council. So you have Mitchell Farrell, Council District 13, or David Ryu, Council District 4, constantly have to talk and talk to the people that, you know, he represent. So talk to the people who you voted for or didn't vote for, but they represent you. What do I mean talk to them? You may write them an email. You can find them online. Tell them how you feel, because a lot of the time we have representative from CD13, CD4, and I'm sure in your areas, other council district. And they said, nobody told us to only hear it from the applicants, from the businesses. Well, nobody told me there's a problem over there. Nobody told me that this business blasting music into an apartment building 20 stories till 2 a.m.
Yeah, so people need to know that calls, letters work. They pay attention to that. The elected officials really do.
Absolutely. In the end of the day, elected officials want to be elected again.
Yeah.
And a business might be 2 owners, 2 votes. If you have people in your building and you're really upset, that might be already 20, 30 votes.
Could be 200, you know, if you get the whole, you know, block.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you really need to make your voice heard. And there was the whole idea of the neighborhood councils. But then again, and this is when, just for our point about the alcohol license, we are not against alcohol whatsoever.
Yeah.
We're just saying, let's manage it properly. If you think we need 40 alcohol licenses within 2-minute walk in Hollywood, what happens if somebody is really, really out of control? And by the way, according to the LAPD, they have that many times a day.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And the
in
pub,
other areas. Mm-hmm.
And the pub basically cut them off. So they're going to the CVS. Okay, the CVS cut them off. Now they're going to the Target. So we can't manage public drunkenness or public crime when basically you can see and buy alcohol within like a minute of where you are.
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, this should alert everyone to pay attention when we talk about high alcohol density. So this is super important. And Professor Katz, I thank you so much. Any final words for the public? Maybe urge people to go out and drive around their neighborhood to just eyeball how many there are?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure you drive on big boulevards like Hollywood Boulevard, Ventura Boulevard, Santa Monica, or any big boulevards in downtown, and you say, oh, they're all in the same place. Well, you know, behind those same place, there are people living over there, and those people having their quality of life definitely being degraded from more and more businesses that catering alcohol, and it's a problem. You need to manage it. You can't just say, the hell with those people.
Yeah.
My block is quiet. What kind of a community are we when you say, I'm okay as long as I live comfortably, but those guys,
too bad for them. Yeah. That's
too bad for them.
Yeah, but that's not right.
Why is it why is it right to say? I mean, it's convenient,
but not right.
Not whatsoever. And definitely write to your elected official. It's actually very, very simple to know who your congressperson, who's your council district person is. And you don't need to email your congressperson for local council district.
Council district and the state, your state representatives as well.
So. I have found from experience, now I'm on the neighborhood board for 6 years, that the state representatives not so much.
Oh, okay.
Comes-
All right.
LA,
Or definitely LA City.
but definitely email them, but definitely the city. The city are responsive, and I always get a response from somebody in the office. So
Okay, good.
you might not hear from the council person himself or herself, but somebody from the office will, and they're definitely gonna tell he or she how their consistent, the people that have voted for them feel.
All right. Thank you so much. Great advice as always, and always a pleasure to talk to you, Professor Katz. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And thank you everyone for watching LASOS.
Okay.